Hey, this is Jim. We are back with EduStream TV. I hope you've all followed us over to Crowdcast and are joining us for our first demo of today, where we have the star of the show, and this is the brand new HuddleCam HD SimplTrack Lite. This is their second auto-tracking PTZ camera. HuddleCam HD is a video conferencing division of PTZOptics, and this would fall into the advanced products of the HuddleCam HD product line. To show off this camera and to give us a little demo, I am being joined today by Stephen Heywood. Hey, Stephen, how are you?
Hey, Jim, how's it going?
Doing great, man. Hey, look, we've known you for quite some time. I've worked with you on Wirecast gear systems, NewTek TriCaster systems. I know you host your own live streaming shows. You know this technology. You know how to make the most of it. And you're going to show off the auto tracking camera to us. So I don't want to get in your way. I'm going to hand the show off to you. And then, of course, we'll field some questions from the audience, and then we'll come back and talk about the SimplTrack Lite and anything else that we can add to this great device.
Well, awesome, Jim. I really appreciate it, and thank you for giving me the opportunity. As Jim said, this is a great opportunity to talk about this camera, because the SimplTrack Lite is more than just a camera. It's a tracking camera, and it's a very affordable tracking camera. And so giving the ability for you educators out there and you distributors to be able to utilize its tracking capabilities. So what I want to do is I want to demonstrate that here for you right now. So this is a standard PTZOptics camera, and you can use this as a standard camera as well. But we're going to cut over here to my tracking camera, and I'm just going to kind of pull down one of these monitors just to leave it open, because I want to show you that you could have monitors open or laptops and it will still track you wherever you're going. And one of the things that I really like about this camera is the ability to, even with a bright light on, it's still following me and tracking my every movement. Coming up, I use a TV as my background. So having the ability to track you, even when you've got bright lights, motion, things like that, it's still going to track you. And as you can see here, I have a blinking light going on down here on one of my switchers here, and it's still not even being phased by that in any way, shape, or form. So this is great for educators who want to lock in a certain area. We have, starting at preset number 84, you can lock in a certain area that you want it to only track within, and that goes up to a few other presets, 86. And it'll give you the ability to, if you're working on a whiteboard or maybe you have a smart board, you have the ability to just track within this vicinity. And so you also can maneuver around as you're demonstrating whatever it is. Maybe you're a science teacher and you're doing some kind of equation trying to solve the world's problems, or maybe you're a math teacher and you're trying to teach your students algebra. You have that functionality to be able to do this either live, or you can do this remote through Zoom, however your communications. Now, if you noticed, as I was walking, I purposely turned my back to the camera because I wanted to show you that it's still tracking me, even though my back is to it. So I'm going to show you, I'm just going to walk backwards here, and you're going to see it's still tracking me. And this camera's technology is so advanced, it's using a single camera as opposed to a reference camera. Our sister camera, the SimplTrack 2, actually has a little reference camera in the front. This is doing it all with the same lens and the same camera. So it really gives you a lot of versatility in how you track it. Now, the question often comes up when I'm doing demos or I'm showing this camera to friends and family. They often say, well, okay, this is great and all, but how hard is it to set up? Especially in education, where you don't necessarily have all the know-how of behind you. This is new technology. Well, one thing I can honestly say, this is right out of the box. You can plug it in. And there's a lot of really good features with it. And I'm going to get into the software side of it in just a few moments. But there's a lot of really great features and benefits with this. I'm going to kind of pull this up really quick. But you've seen the smooth automatic motion tracking of up to 55 feet away with focus up to up to 20x at 1080. I want to make sure I get that right for you guys. At 60 frames per second, 30 frames if you're going to be using it over USB. But the really cool thing is it has a 270-degree rotation and a 59.5-degree field of view. And this is truly plug and play. It's USB 2.0 capability. One of the other things, it is PoE 802.3GF. It's got a lot of great same capabilities that a lot of our other cameras have, being able to do SDI, HDMI, all those good things that you have available to you for your connection needs. Now, there is software. I mentioned the software part of it, and I'm not going to go really geeky and nerdy into it, but I did want to show you as we cut over here. This is on my PC, and you're going to actually see me walk over here. This piece of software is really great. So if you're a distributor or you are a educator, this piece of software will utilize all of our SimplTrack products. Okay, so if you have a SimplTrack 2 and you go and decide you want to buy a SimplTrack Lite, you can see right here on the side, it will accommodate you. So one piece of software to do everything. So you'll have that ability. So how hard is it to set up? Now you can see already I have it in here, but I'm going to go back here to the device management and show you. Again, very quick. Down here along the bottom, you'll see it says start search. I'm going to hit search. It finds these cameras on my network that easy. I'm going to click the camera that I want. I'm going to add it to the client, which I've already done. It automatically puts it here. And then if you double click these cameras, it puts it over here to your main view and it allows you to activate them. When you come in here, a lot of times there is a quadrant view. There's a little button here in the bottom right corner. If you click on it, you can make it your main view. And then what you can do is you can adjust presets. Now, I'm going to call up preset 0 here. I'm going to stop the tracking. It's going to go back to its home location. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to call preset 0. Preset 0 is your wide preset. Preset 1 is what you want to set for your tight shot. We'll call it a tight shot. You know, the shot that you see, the head and shoulders and waist. And then you want to set those presets. Okay. And after that, you click start and it starts the tracking mechanism. That's if you really want to get into it. I mean, that's pretty simple as far as software goes. There's some other things inside of here. If we go into the settings area, we have a feature in here called a lower bound. And what that does is if I click on it, you'll see there's this little green line that appears. What that does is it tells the camera, I don't want you to track anything under that green line. So by clicking these arrows, again, you don't have to be super technical. You can maneuver that ground line, that green line, that bounding line, and adjust it to where you want. If you're doing a lecture and you're in college and you don't want to get that front row, you don't want to track in the person that's got to get up and head out of the class for whatever reason, you can use that. Clicking OK. Basic number 2 also gives you the parameters where you can adjust the tracking sensitivity, the tracking speed, the loss timeout. I have it defaulted at 6 for the tracking sensitivity, and I believe that is the default for the camera and also for the tracking speed. If you want it slower, if you don't like the way it's going, you can then adjust it within the software. Always make sure that you hit save when you're exiting this area, just to ensure that all your settings have been taken. And that's it. It gives you your frames per second down here, your resolution, if you're doing it over RTSP. And then you also have your record button. You can record within the software. But again, all these features in this software can be used with our SimplTrack 2 or our SimplTrack Lite. So you do not need to have the actual 15 different pieces of software. You can do it all within one piece of software. So I think that, to me, is really awesome, and having that ability, especially in my situation, as Jim mentioned, I do a show myself, and so having the ability to have a tracking camera if I'm doing a demonstration, I could see why the educators really need to take a look at this and how affordable that this camera actually is. So Jim, I really hope you in the audience like this demonstration. So I'm going to kind of kick it back over to you to see if there's any questions or if you have anything to add.
Absolutely. We do have a couple of questions. Before we get into the exact questions from the audience, I want to show off the camera a little bit because I do have it on the table here in front of me. And Stephen, one of the features that you pointed out was the versatility of the connection. When you showed how easily the camera popped up on your network, am I to assume that you were using NDIHS for that?
Yeah, that's one thing I do want to mention. It does come standard with NDI, and I was actually using the NDI feed for my camera. I should have mentioned that in the presentation.
You know what? It's great. I saw that pop up, and it really is a great selling feature of the camera. But in addition to the NDI, for our schools who have not implemented NDI technology yet, you do have an HDMI port, an SDI port, so you have all of that flexibility. So you can do video over the IP with the NDIHS, you can use the SDI, you can use HDMI, so you have all of that, and even USB, right, Stephen?
Has USB, and it also has RS-232 on the back.
Great. I mean, so you really have a ton of flexibility on how you can integrate that camera into whatever your school is using. And I know that's one of the questions that comes up all the time when we're talking to a school. Let's face it, not every school across the country is state of the art when it comes to technology. And one of the bridges to get your campus to be more state of the art is to find products like this that will work with your existing infrastructure, but give you the flexibility to upgrade to another infrastructure like the NDI technology in the future.
Oh, 100%.
So one of the questions that came in was a little bit of the difference between the SimplTrack Lite and the SimplTrack 2. I know one of the things that you mentioned already is that the SimplTrack 2 actually has a separate lens that it uses for some of that auto tracking. Where SimplTrack Lite, it's built into the one lens of the camera, it's using the software to rely on, still doing a great track, but it's all built into that single lens, which allows you to hit a much more attractive price point on this guy, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It also has the ability, I love the graphic that you're showing there where it's upside down. The SimplTrack Lite has the ability to be mounted upside down, where the SimplTrack 2 is not recommended to be hung upside down. It's more or less a standard standalone, which I like mounting them, Jim. I like mounting them upside down myself.
Yep.
For my setup and what I'm using, and it's a smaller form factor than the SimplTrack 2.
Yep,
as well.
Absolutely. And the SimplTrack Lite has the NDIHX pre-installed. It's available. It comes in the box with the device itself. Correct me if I'm wrong, but the SimplTrack 2 now is upgradable to NDI, correct?
That's the other caveat. You have to purchase the NDI license with the SimplTrack 2 for your SimplTrack. So if you do have SimplTrack 2, you can upgrade it with the latest firmware to NDI, which I also have that on my SimplTrack 2 as well. Some of the other differences, Jim, you had asked, SimplTrack 2 has the ability to do hex commands. And without getting too geeky and nerdy that a lot of schools probably aren't going to use, but maybe they will. If you want to have it to be able to trigger, I know, Jim, you and I were running TriCasters. TriCaster has the ability to send macros. And so you can actually trigger certain macros on vMix, on TriCaster, through the SimplTrack 2 and have it do some automation on your TriCaster. So if you set like an area, Jim, that you want to stand in front of, it will automatically trigger whatever macro you have set up within the software of the camera.
Oh, that's great. So it definitely plays into more of that greater production environment where the SimplTrack Lite at under $1,500 with all of this different connectivity is one of the most affordable solutions to bring auto tracking into your school. Stephen, I don't know if you did it intentionally or if it's just a limitation of the studio you're in, but I was just talking to Gary on the previous segment about how cool the auto tracking can be in a tight environment. I think everyone assumes that we're looking at a professor at the top of a giant lecture hall. But even walking back and forth across a 10-foot area, that auto tracking adds another production move that keeps your audience engaged. And Stephen, I'm going to go out on a limb, but how many other people are in there in the studio with you?
It is just me here in the studio, so I kind of got to work by myself here. So
Yeah.
you see all the stuff that I have here. So many things to trip this camera up, and you saw it work flawless.
Absolutely. And when you're working back and forth, when you moved in front of the light and you were standing in front of the TV screen, those are all things that would historically throw off that tracking capability. Any change in light value, like the light bouncing off of a giant TV, like the one behind you, is something that would trick these cameras up. So I would say this technology has really come quite a long way.
Yeah, and there used to be, I used to do a demo. I don't have the background pulled up right now, but I used to have some motion on it. So when I walk in front of it, there's motion on the TV, and it just ignores it. It still follows me and the direction. And we knew that, with everything that went on in the world, we had to give these teachers the ability to have this quality to where they're like me, they're by themselves, and they need to be able to address people on the whiteboard or the smart board, whatever they're using, and have that freedom, but at an affordable price.
Absolutely. And then the last thing I wanted to leave our audience with is to talk about HuddleCam HD and PTZOptics and reinforce that as a company, the fact that you guys stand behind your products and actually use the products. If you follow Video Guys Live weekly show, you will see that we have Stephen Heywood as a guest every few months. Paul Richards from PTZOptics and StreamGeeks joins us regularly. You guys are putting out some of the most prolific content in the live streaming industry. So you're actually using the same cameras and the same technology that we're talking about today.
100%, Jim. I've been with PTZOptics for a little over a year now, and that was one of the reasons I was brought in for my expertise in video. But I had been using PTZOptics cameras probably for the last 7 years. Before that was the main cameras in my studio. So from a customer to an employee, I mean, that speaks volumes in that aspect, because these cameras are great. My whole studio is outfitted for different varieties of cameras for my use case as a solo producer. But we just keep trying to step up the bar. I know our engineers are really hard at work trying to put the next biggest feature, or have as many features as you pointed out with the back of the camera and having connection points. We want to give everybody the choice. Choices are great, right?
Yeah.
So that's what we want to do.
Absolutely. And especially, I'll reiterate the point that choice is great in an academic environment where you might be the IT director and you don't have the capability to make all of those choices in your school, in your building, or across your campus. You need something that's going to be agile enough to play well with what you already have, or what you plan on buying the next budget cycle and even the budget cycle after that. So having that flexibility in these cameras is a great way to do that. The SimplTrack Lite is available now at videoguys.com. We have them in stock. It is shipping. The price of the camera is $14.99. Stephen, thank you very much for joining us today. I am going to let you run as we prepare for our next segment, and that's showing off the MRMC auto tracking software, which actually works great with the PTZOptics cameras and some of the other stuff that you guys offer as well. And we'll let you know how that fits into your academic workflow. Stephen, thanks for joining us. Have a great day.
All right, you too. Take care.
Bye now.